Coming to you live from my living room, it's bloody hell! It's this week's Apocalypse. Jesus. I am your co-host,
down on the ground.
Kevin Lennon. Yeah, just stay down. I am your co-host, Kevin Lennon. With me as always over there, in Defilé, is John Ferris. John, how you doing over there?
Fine, I think. I'm trying to work out where this gunfire is coming from here.
Yeah, I think it's coming from literally everywhere. So I guess every single assassin in the world has basically got given a contract out on the two of us. I have no idea why.
No.
It seems bizarre. We're just two Norberts, like, really, when you get right down to it. But I think there's sort of a clear path between here and the DVD player, but I can't quite reach it. John, do you have anything over there that you could, like, you're next to the DVD cabinet?
Yeah, most of it's been wrecked by that last kind of couple of shots there, but...
salvo. Yeah.
Yeah. There is 3 surviving DVDs right here.
Okay, so what do you got?
Well, actually, as luck would have it,
Ooh.
they all seem to kind of in some way relate to our current predicament. Whoa, what was that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it was a subsonic round. I think it was.
Well, anyway, we've got Grosse Pointe Blank, 1997's Grosse Pointe Blank, directed by George Armitage. We have Assassins, 1995, which, you know, as far as titles go, it's telling you everything you need to know.
It's pretty straightforward. I assume that will definitely be the most useful thing.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
And its director is Richard Donner. Sorry.
Indeed.
I said Dormer. He's an actor.
It's a different guy, yes.
And then, and lastly, we have Leon the Professional, directed by Luc Besson. So, you know, professional.
Yeah.
We all know where that's going.
That sounds like it'll be full of really useful information, as must well be Assassins. I don't know about this Grosse Pointe Blank. What's that got to do with Assassins? Doesn't say anything about Assassins as far as I can tell.
No, it sounds like a place.
It does, doesn't it? Isn't it? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Alright, cool. Well, let's keep our heads down then and see if we can get through all of these movies. Alright, cool. Well, we've managed to avoid getting taken out or inhumed or deleted. That's one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's...
so far. So, what about Grosse Pointe Blank then, John? What did you think of Grosse Pointe Blank?
Well, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing that we keep kind of coming back to these movies that I watched when I was probably, you know, this movie is certified for 15, and I was probably around that age when I watched it, and I really enjoyed it back then from what I remember, and probably haven't seen it since.
Yeah.
And coming back to it, I was very disappointed. I was just, so much of this depends on, like, the likability of the characters, and like, for me, I just can't, like, there was around this point John Cusack was doing his romantic comedy thing, and he was very much had like a, let's just call it a John Cusack stick that he he tended to do, and he still has this, he kind of is doing that in this, and I don't really have much patience or much time for it. And Minnie Driver's character acts like she's still 15, and probably 15-year-old me found that endearing. 37-year-old me found it really annoying. I was really frustrated with her because she's acting like a child. But I mean, directing wise and things like that, it's competent. There's a few There's a few scenes that I thought were actually really badly edited. There's one in particular that sticks in my mind, where he visits his mother in the old folks' home, and the exchange between them is really choppy and really weirdly, and I don't think it's artistically done in a sense that, like, you know, she has Alzheimer's or dementia or something, and I don't think it's done to kind of represent that or anything. It's just it's really bad. No one seems to be saying anything of any. It's like a pointless scene as well. Like no one's saying anything of any worth, or it's not really doing much for the story or for the characters. And I just really disliked that exchange. That one, that's the one that sticks out in my head. But like again, I've been really negative from the get go with this. Parts of it are good. Like I like this. There's this kind of recurring thing where people ask him what he does now, and he goes, "I kill people for money," because he keeps like rehearsing that like this lie that he'll do. It's like, "Oh, I'm in the building trade or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm a cleaner or something," and he just like every time someone asks, he just tells the truth and goes, "Yeah, I kill people for money."
He just says, "I'm a professional killer," and everyone just laughs. Yeah, like nobody believes him. Everyone thinks he's just joking around every time. Yeah, it's great. It's like, I don't know. I have to say, John, I still really like this film.
Yeah.
I do. I still really like this film. I take your point. Minnie Driver's character is like really immature, and I don't know if they're intentionally doing it like she's acting like a teenager.
Yeah,
maybe because that's
like, I mean,
the last time she saw him. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a bit odd. Like, again, it's probably like a personal thing on my part where it's one of these like wee foibles that just like really irks me. Some people might watch it and find it nice, find it endearing. I don't know. That's kind of even weirder, actually, now that I said it out loud. But yeah, and I like this idea of, you know, in the next two movies, let's say, you know, you will have people in the role of these assassins or hitmen who kind of look the part in a sense, like, you know, in that sense of like they look more action type. And I kind of like this idea that the assassins in this one are really unassuming, like John Cusack and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd really, especially
are really unthreatening. There's a bit at the end where like Dan Aykroyd's running towards the house with the twin pistols, and it looks so ridiculous.
Yeah, he always looks really like slightly goofy and cumbersome.
That's because he's
running, because he's Dan Aykroyd. Yeah, but no, I really like this movie. I like now I'm not necessarily, you know, whenever I'm watching this film, I'm not necessarily focusing on the sort of the rom-com nature of it, which is not really, I don't know if it's the center point of the film, really. It seems to be more about him sort of realizing that there's more to life, maybe, than what he's been doing so far. But, like, yeah, his relationship with Minnie Driver's character is kind of like whatever for me.
Yeah.
But I like all the things where he's like, you know, when he goes to like the place where his house used to be, and now it's like a little supermarket and his house is gone. I kind of like that. I kind of like some of the stuff about the editing. I do really like. There's some great like little musical transitions.
There's a brilliant musical transition at that point where it's playing the
Live and Let Die.
Yeah, Live and Let Die, the Guns N' Roses version, I think.
Yeah.
When he gets out of the car, and then it turns into like a
it's
elevator. Yeah, like the elevator music type version.
Yeah.
It's done very seamlessly, and it's done well.
I like that, and like I don't know, I quite like is like that whole scene I really love when he just keeps asking the guy like, "What are you doing here? What are you doing?" It's like, "I work here. I'm doing a double shift," and he's like, "But what are you doing here? Why are you here? How long have you worked here?
Yeah,
is there a manager around? How long have they worked here? What are you doing here?"
See, I would say like I would have preferred if it was just about his like kind of inner turmoil of you know, wanting to change jobs, wanting to get out of this lifestyle. But I mean, the whole impetus for him kind of thinking that way is Minnie Driver's character, and like wanting to be with her. Like he's really obsessed with his childhood sweetheart, and all this, and it kind of, I suppose for me, it focuses too much on that, and that's too important for him. But again, it's each to their own kind of thing. You know, some people might not focus as much on that when they're watching it. But I will say, like, just when you're talking about the music there, I found I find some of the music, like the music, the soundtrack itself is brilliant. It's very good.
Oh, it's fucking fantastic.
Again, probably why I liked it when I was a teenager. It's like loads of music that we would have been listening to at that age.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times it's implemented very strangely, or it's just it almost seems not as bad, but kind of like those like movies like Suicide Squad, which were kind of vacuous and just like kept throwing music in in replace of like story. And this seemed to have that problem at times for me, where I was just kind of sitting there, why is this song playing now? And then before it even ends, like you've got another one thrown in, and I don't know, it to me it just didn't serve any purpose.
Yeah, I think it's like what they're mainly trying to do is be like, well, this is the music of our youth, like the characters in the story, like it's them like being like, because it's their high school reunion that he's going back to, and it's like, here's the music we were listening to in the 80s, so they're throwing that a lot in. They go through a whole lot of songs during the actual reunion scene as well.
I think that's it. Like it just kind of is overdone in that sense, for me anyway. But yeah, like I mean, I think the success or lack of success of this movie for each individual, it just, as I said from the start, it just depends on on how much you identify with the characters, particularly John Cusack's character, because he's followed in it quite closely, and how do I put this? How much patience you have, I think, because there's. It's kind of a waffly, but this is kind of intentional. It's because it's about someone coming back to where they were, like where they were a kid, where they grew up and stuff. And a lot of it is him just like wandering about, kind of aimlessly, because he's meant to be killing this target and stuff. But he just kind of wanders about town, and a lot of the movie is just him kind of like going, oh, there's that thing, and I don't know. For me, it just didn't hit the mark. I thought I was going to love it again. I thought it was going to be like, yeah, this movie's great.
Nah, I did still really like it. My favorite stuff in this movie is when he's interacting with the other assassins. Mainly when every scene that he's in with Dan Aykroyd, I loved.
Yeah.
I fucking love Dan Aykroyd in this film. He's just such a dick.
Yeah.
And he's so consistently a dick, and he's underhand, and he's a liar. And, I just have a soft spot for Dan Aykroyd in general, I think. He's in a few of my favorite movies. Like, two of my, like, top 5 movies are probably, like, The Blues Brothers and Ghostbusters. And he's in both of those films, so I have this sort of association maybe with Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Where, like, he's in things I like.
Edging almost into brainwashing.
Yeah, maybe.
And I mean, I'm saying this as someone who also has this, like, like that Ghostbusters cast, that original Ghostbusters cast, have like a thing where it's like, oh yeah, great, I love Bill Murray, I love Dan Aykroyd, and maybe I wouldn't. I don't know, but I do quite like this movie. I do really like the soundtrack a lot. I think it is a great soundtrack. I quite like the action scenes in this. I think some of them are very well done. There's one in particular that happens in the little supermarket that I quite like, but mainly throughout that scene, I'm always, every time, distracted by the weirdest prop I have ever seen in a film, which is a Doom 2 arcade cabinet that they must have built for this film, because Doom's not an arcade game and never ever was. I love that you get caught up in that.
It's always baffled me, and I've never like really found a way to like look into it.
No, I did find something about that where they built it specifically for this movie, but I'm not even sure why. I don't think it gave a reason.
I assume somebody just in the prop department thought it would be cool to have an arcade machine that played Doom 2. I guess they must have had some kind of weird licensing thing with id as well, maybe, to put it in the film.
Yeah,
it's just such an odd thing. It's so strange that it exists.
Is it to represent? his Martin Blank's fragile. I don't know. No.
No, I mean
I don't know where I was
use it-
going with that.
They use it in that scene to be like, oh, here he is playing Doom, the guy who works in the shop. He's not looking while the gunfight's going on behind
The
him.
guy with the best headphones ever.
Yeah, who must be like amazing headphones. I guess it's supposed to be like he thinks the gunfire sounds are coming out of the arcade machine. I feel like that's the purpose of it in the scene.
Yeah, so he's in
And it is kind of funny, but it also is not at all plausible that you would consider that. Actual guns exploding behind you. No, you're not going to think, oh, it's coming out of the arcade machine that's literally in front of me. No, but no, I like this film. There's lots of little things I like about this movie. I like Jeremy Piven in it, even though I find him kind of generally.
Yeah.
But I like him in this. And like, yeah, just I like all the weird little interactions he has with people that he hasn't seen, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, where have you been? Who are you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I kill people for a living." Ha 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 ha.
I like Alan Arkin as
brilliant.
the psychiatrist who is kind of being held against his will in many ways. You know, he doesn't want to say, he doesn't want to go to the authorities to like go, "Oh, this guy's a hitman," because he knows he'll get killed. Because there's a good wee bit where like John Cusack like jokingly says to him, "Oh, I know where you live," and like Alan Arkin's character goes, "You can't say things like that."
And it's like, I didn't mean it, you know. I didn't think of it like that. And he's like, you did. You thought of it, and then you said it. It's like, yep, that's brilliant. Alan Arkin is always brilliant. In everything. He's my favorite thing in Little Miss Sunshine, like where he's the grandpa who's doing like he's just like doing heroin and cocaine and like all this other mad stuff because he's like, just fucking, I'm old and I'm gonna die anyway.
Another very underrated actor, I think.
Yeah, he's brilliant. And then Glenn Ross, he's fantastic in that as well. So I'm gonna say this. I think we are at odds on this one.
Yeah.
I still think this is a good film. I think you have made some valid criticisms. I think you're okay, that's not a valid criticism. You can't just say it's trash, baby.
Well, I just did.
Yeah, you did. Okay, fair enough. Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
That's just your opinion, man.
Yeah, exactly. But I still really like it. I think it is like, I think there's just something I don't know. There's something just sort of freewheeling and chill about it that I like. And I like Joan Cusack in it. I think she's great in it as well. She spends most of her time on the other end of a phone.
Yeah. It's like a really weird setup. Like he's almost like got a PI kind of an office setup for this hitman, and this secretary who deals with all his shit, deals with his calls and all that. Yeah.
Like he has a really interesting relationship with her that I like. But yeah, no, I still like this film. I like this film a fair bit.
There's actually a load of Cusacks in this. The drunken girl who comes up to them in the
one who's really hammered in the restaurant.
In the restaurant. That's Anne Cusack. And then I think there was a couple more of them. I remember finding out there was like a few Cusacks.
That's so many Cusacks. It's too many Cusacks.
It's like the Baldwins.
Indeed.
They're taking over.
Yeah, I guess so. They haven't taken over the way the Baldwins have.
No,
but yeah, no. I think as a weird. I guess I hate to use the word quirky.
But you just did.
But I just did. I guess Minnie Driver being present in something.
You do love your quirky romantic comedies, you though.
Oh, so. Surely I do. Yes, name them for me, John, because I'm
Grosse Pointe Blank,
and
that other one.
And that other
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, so basically what this boils down to is I'm right about this movie and you're wrong. Oh, well, I've taken one in the shoulder, but as far as I can tell from movies that I've seen, that probably means I'm fine, right?
Yeah, it barely even slows you down.
I mean, trauma, like shock, wounds don't get infected. I mean, you just like, all happens is you go, oh, I'm got, and then you just stand up and do something, move around a bit, and then everybody in the audience knows you're fine. The audience, of course, in this case being you, John. Do you know that I'm fine from the way I'm jigging about?
Yeah, you're doing like a wee dance there. That's kind of
cool. It's pretty good, isn't it?
You must be very fine.
Oh shit, no, okay, yeah, so standing up and dancing was not the right thing to do in front of this open window. So let's stay down on the floor. And while we're on the floor, John, will we talk a little about Richard Donner's Assassins.
Ooh, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, John, what did you think about Richard Donner's Assassins?
Richard Donner's Assassins is definitely a Richard Donner movie in the 90s.
Fully is a 90s Richard Donner movie, isn't it? Just,
I mean, this movie is not good, but
yeah.
it's a Richard Donner movie.
Yeah, you got that butt coming that you know is gonna be like, it's coming.
I kind of enjoy this movie. Well, I mean, it has a load of pacing problems in the middle of it, and there's loads of stupid things happening in it, but I don't know. It's there's something likable about it, and Antonio Banderas gives a weird performance.
He's so good. His weird performance for me is again the focal point of the movie. For me, is him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because Sylvester Stallone, he's doing that like. I like Sylvester Stallone, like when in Rocky and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, he can be very good, I think. But in this, he's doing the leading man. Plank of wood,
block of granite. I like to think of him as in this film.
And I mean, Julianne Moore is in the film, but actually, she's kind of a bit like not as obnoxious as Minnie Driver's character in Grosse Point Blank, but she kind of acts a bit
way creepier, like
a bit childish. Like
she's a creep.
She's a creep. Yeah, she's terrible.
I almost felt at one point I was like, is she the villain?
Yeah. She's spying on her neighbours and things like that.
Yeah, she has hidden cameras on her neighbours' flats. She's a goddamn creep.
Yeah.
Like, she is a creep. Like, I find her character to be really unlikable.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just fundamentally in this film. And there was a certain point about halfway through where I was like, I feel like Antonio Banderas is the hero.
I was kind of, you're kind of rooting for Antonio Banderas, and like
he's kind of a good person in this weird way. Like, he goes to, whenever he's anywhere where there's like poor people and stuff, he is like wildly overpaying for things all the time and stuff. People are like, oh no, here's your change, and he's like, it doesn't matter. He's like giving people $100 bills
we'll just
for like a bunch of nectarines.
That he was going to shoot a kid.
He was going to shoot a kid, but he's nice sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know that kid. That kid could be a thief. That kid could be anyone.
That kid could grow up to be the next Jeffrey Dahmer.
Exactly.
You don't know. Yeah.
There you go.
So
everyone kill your kids.
Yeah, and like it has this certain sort of Richard Donner thing about it where you're like, okay, yeah, maybe the pacing isn't great. Maybe it's not really well cut together. But whenever it's going, it's good.
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole scene where they're like in the taxi cab that I really loved. That whole scene in the taxi, it was so daft. Where there's like he's in the back seat behind a bulletproof screen, and Sylvester Stallone's in the front seat, and they can't shoot each other, but they can't get out. It's like, it's the whole like riding the tiger. Hold on, you gotta hold on to the tiger, and if you let go, you're gonna get got, so you just gotta keep holding on. You're like, how are they gonna get out of this? And it's kind of fun when he's like leaning out the window trying to shoot him in through the passenger side and stuff. It's so daft.
Yeah, and he's like driving the car into the side of a bus, and like going, how is Antonio Banderas like still functioning at this point?
He should be extremely crushed and dead, but he isn't, and it's kind of extremely fun.
Yeah.
I like, and again, like Antonio Banderas' performance is like, he's super intense and weird, and he has like weird tics that he has, and like sometimes I was watching it and being like, oh yeah, Antonio Banderas is actually a good actor.
Yeah.
And I was reminded of that intermittently throughout the course of the movie, especially there's a scene where he's like standing and waiting, the whole thing where they're gonna like frustrate him deliberately by making him wait all day in the sniper's
I actually think
perch.
that's the best scene. It's like him just waiting at this window and like trying to, it's like a rite of passage almost, because he's trying to take over from Sylvester Stallone's, like he's the best assassin apparently, which I don't know how they rate those things.
I don't know. He just keeps everyone just keeps saying that he's number one. So
maybe they've got like an Uber thing, like where you rate rate your assassin.
Yeah, you can rate like out of 5 how good the assassination that you paid for was. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But it's just that whole scene. It's a really great, like, you just get to see Antonio Banderas being like, okay, here's a man getting more and more frustrated and uncomfortable throughout the day. Like the sweat is lashing off him, and he's getting frustrated, and he's shouting to himself, and he's getting like really angry, and he's really intense. He's brilliant.
He's quite a scary antagonist, or protagonist, as we're going to refer to, because he's kind of unpredictable. And even, there's that whole like build up to this scene where Sylvester Stallone's like going, "Oh, you'll hide the rifle on the left hand side," and blah blah blah.
That was a really good Sylvester Stallone impression.
It took me all week. I was working on it. And he's going through this with Julianne Moore's character, like, he'll hide it here, do this, do that, and none of it works out for them.
No.
And then she stupidly gets stuck in the floor.
That's so daft. That's so like just Deus Ex Machina. Like, oh, this person needs to be stuck now, so we're just gonna have them fall through the floor.
But also, like, she must have zero upper body strength, because like,
no.
She's both her arms, like, she's
up
both
to her
the
waist,
elbows.
pretty
Yeah,
much, right?
It's kind of not that difficult to lift yourself. If you're like the adrenaline of an assassin coming into the building to get you.
Yeah.
I think would drive you to at least get out of it, but
yeah, maybe give you that. I don't know. I feel like maybe she's weak from being a nerd that sits indoors all day. I don't know. I feel like they tried to do with her the same thing they tried to do with Sandra Bullock's character in The Net from when we watched that.
Yeah,
I feel like they were kind of trying to go for that, like someone who's like a shut-in, whose like only friend is her cat.
Yeah,
and knows all about computers. But it wasn't nearly
same
as
year as well.
Yeah. It wasn't nearly as sort of charming, I guess, as Sandra Bullock's character sort of was in The Net.
No, and I mean, it's very 90s that for some reason it didn't ring the same alarm bells it rings now. That near enough one of the first times you see her in the movie is her checking out the different video feeds she has of her neighbours. Plus, I also wondered, like, once Antonio Banderas like finds the camera and he's like pulling the wires, like, when did she get time and how did she get into these buildings to wire up?
Yeah, because it's under the plaster, and like that's also one of the moments where that's the first moment where I started to think maybe Antonio Banderas was the good guy, because he is appalled. He is appalled by that. He is really annoyed that she's done that. He is disgusted. You can see it. He even says something to that effect into the camera. Yeah. That it's creepy and weird. And I was just like, that was the first time where I was like, wait a minute, is he actually really the good guy? Is he the hero of the piece? Really? I still feel like he kind of is.
Yeah. This is like, I'll refer to this as a reverse E.T.
Yeah, it's a reverse E.T. Like the person that you think, wait a minute, hold on. Okay,
it's because E.T. in E.T. is shown as is meant to be seen as the good guy, but we've dismissed that in a previous episode.
Yeah, we pretty much scientifically proved that E.T. is the villain.
E.T. is pure evil, and this is the reverse of that, where Antonio Banderas is supposedly an antagonist when really he should have won. Plus, get rid of the old guard. Sylvester Stallone. I can speak as well as him. He wants to retire, so go.
Just let him.
Yeah, just go. The ultimate retirement.
Yeah, but I think he's got exactly. Yeah, but he's got that whole thing that like, oh, if I kill him, then I be number one.
Yeah,
which doesn't actually make a lot of sense.
It's like a very Highlander way of looking at it.
It is. It's like I must kill him, and then I will get his power.
The quickening. Yeah. He's standing there with his sniper rifle.
Yeah, with the electricity, the lightning, freaking hitting him in the goddamn bell tower. That'd be pretty awesome, actually. Yeah, so I think this is actually... Now, I started off but in our preamble before we started with the order of these movies, and I made the statement that, this will be like a shit sandwich. And now I realize the more I talk about this film, the more untrue that is.
Yeah.
Because I actually do kind of like this film. This film had I probably saw this film when I was like 10 or 11, and I think of it on TV.
Yeah.
And it really stuck. The thing that really stuck with me is that scene we were talking about earlier, where Antonio Banderas is in the clock tower or the bell tower, in the sniper spot. Like, I remember that scene really well from like 27 years ago or whenever it was I saw it.
It's very well done. It's one of those ones that it does a really good job of building the tension, which is weird that the rest of the film doesn't. Like, you're kind of in between those action set pieces. It's terrible. The film is at its worst whenever they are not kind of attacking each other. You mentioned the taxi earlier. Later there's like the Julianne Moore's apartment block they're fighting in, and like, other than that, it's very forgettable, and the scenes with her and what she's doing and all this are kind of like they just lack energy, and they're just not that interesting.
Yeah.
But then it all comes to the head of this, him in this old abandoned hotel, and all he's doing is waiting, and it's the heat. And I think it helped actually that when we were watching this, there was a heat wave in this country, so I'm kind of sitting there going, I feel exactly roasting. Like him right now.
I was doing exactly the same thing. I was sitting in the living room with all the windows open, being like, oh my god, this heat, and then looking at him and being like, man, I feel even more warm now because I'm looking at Antonio Banderas sweating like a pig, like it was incredibly, it was almost like 4D cinema.
Yeah. And I actually felt bad for him whenever his water ran out. I was like,
yeah, it was really,
dude.
Yeah, that sucks. He pours it all over his face and stuff, and then he's like, "No, he's got no water left."
Yeah,
that sucks. Yeah, so it is kind of a good movie. I mean, it has that Richard Donner. I mean, Richard Donner has made some films that I would consider to be some of the best films in their genre.
Yeah.
At times, like, I mean, he directed Lethal Weapon, all of the Lethal Weapon movies, as far as I know. Now, some of them are awful. The first two I really like.
I really like the first two, and I don't think Assassins really reaches that level.
No,
to be honest, I do still think Assassins, it's like a guilty pleasure in a way.
Better than Lethal Weapon 3.
I'm not going to defend it. If anyone was to go, how do you like Assassins? It's terrible. I'm not going to defend it because I don't really like it. I just kind of like. I enjoyed it. I want like a version that's kind of cut down to maybe like 40 minutes or something.
Yeah, because I mean, Richard Donner, he made The Omen and he made Superman 1 and 2. Now there was a whole thing with Superman 2 where he was sort of fired from Superman 2, but then there was I think in the 90s they released like the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, which is a better film, straight up. Or maybe it was like in the 2000s actually. I think it came out on a Blu-ray. Now I didn't think of it, but it's a better film than standard Superman 2.
Yeah.
And I mean, I actually accidentally, by complete accident, earlier in the week watched Lady Hawk, which is another
accident. I accidentally watched Lady Hawk.
I accidentally watched another Richard Donner film. I didn't put on Lady Hawk by accident. It's just I guess it's a happy coincidence that Lady Hawk was also a Richard Donner movie. Now it's frigging awful. It is barely watchable, and it's the film he did. He came out the same year as The Goonies, which might tell you something of like he was busy with another film that was much better when Lady Hawk was happening, I guess.
Again, Goonies is one of those ones I haven't seen in like probably since it came out, and not since it came out because I would have been one.
Yeah,
but I'm wondering should I go near it? Because through these podcasts, I'm systematically like destroying my nostalgia for things, which is maybe a good thing because I kind of think our generation is overly nostalgic. So maybe
we get preyed on. Our nostalgia is getting preyed on a lot more than previous generations, I feel like. Yeah,
but we're fucking fools who gobble it up.
Yeah.
Recently, the I don't even know what it's called. The new Ghostbusters, I suppose. Trailer came out and everyone's kind of going mad about it. And
this new one.
Yes, the new one.
Ghostbusters 3, I guess, is what it would be, sort of.
Children Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
Ghostbusters.
It's the kid from Stranger Things in the Ghostbuster movie. I don't know.
Like everyone's going mental about that, or a lot of people are like going, "Oh, it's going to be great." It's like, oh, you just never learn, do you?
Yeah, don't get carried away, lads. Because I mean,
reel it in for now.
Yeah, just wait until you see it. Yeah. Don't try not to get too excited because I mean, and again, like our generation is sort of the first generation where it's like, here's remakes of this, remakes of that. Remakes of video games has been a big thing for the last couple of years for like, and they're specifically aimed at us.
Yeah,
like,
and we're all
here's-
marks. Like I have
Absolutely.
fallen prey to it many times.
Yeah, they put out a teaser for that remake of Dead Space recently, and I was just like,
that's you fucked.
that got me immediately. And I knew it was happening because it's happened to me so many times now already. So I'm a little bit aware of it, but I did feel like, oh no, they've kind of got me, haven't they?
Yeah, it's kind of sad, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think, is it more tragic when you're aware of it and you're like, oh,
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm falling for this again. Like, I know
Yeah.
I shouldn't buy this, but I know
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Yeah, because I mean they've been talking about the stuff about like remakes of the Goonies being floated and stuff like that. Now Goonies is, I guess, sort of the generation before ours. I don't know. Generations is hard to nail down.
Yeah,
it's so nebulous. There's people literally being born every second of the day, so there aren't really generations.
Exactly.
That's nonsense. But yeah, I mean they keep remaking things, and it's just like the remake of in fact The Omen, which you just mentioned, a Richard Donner movie, The Omen. There was a remake of that, and it was Liev Schreiber in it that I hated.
Yeah.
With the fashion, Liev Schreiber was fine in it, as he always is, grand. But it was a terrible, terrible, terrible remake. It was so dull and boring.
Yeah.
But like Richard Donner is responsible for some of my like landmark movies. Like he made Scrooged, which is maybe my second favorite Christmas movie after like Gremlins, I think.
That all depends whether you count Die Hard as a Christmas movie as well.
That's an argument I don't care to have because it's a silly argument that is pointless.
Yep. It leads to nowhere.
Yeah, who cares? People can have that argument all they like. I'm not getting involved with it. I like Die Hard, and that's enough for me.
Yeah.
The fact that there's sometimes Christmassy things in it is grand. I mean, it's a Shane Black movie. Every Shane Black movie has some kind of thinly veiled Christmas theme to it for some reason. But yeah, I mean, he's done some good films, but again, as you were saying, in the 90s, like he did Maverick, which I don't know if Maverick, I feel like is similar to this film.
I
that there's
kind of love
stuff in
Maverick,
it.
or at least I remember loving Maverick.
Yeah, like he did a couple of things with Mel Gibson. He did Conspiracy Theory as well with Mel Gibson, outside of the Lethal Weapon movies that he did in the 90s.
I remember seeing Conspiracy Theory, but I definitely don't have the love for it as I have for these, like for Maverick.
Yeah,
I
can
barely remember it.
The only thing I remember about Conspiracy Theory, I remember the basic plot, but the thing that really sticks with me is Mel Gibson with his eyes taped open, strapped to a chair, falling down the stairs. And I remember being horrified by that.
Well, actually, on the subject of Mel Gibson, he, I think, originally was meant to direct Assassins, but he he couldn't because it must have been Braveheart or something like that at that point. So he was already tied with something else.
I feel like that's around the same era, if not the same year, close enough.
And so
anyway.
So Richard Donner and him are good friends. Like, you just look at the movie, like some of the movies we listed there, like, Mel Gibson's in all of them.
He's in ever since he did Lethal Weapon with him. He's been a sort of mainstay.
Yeah.
Throughout the entirety of like the 80s and 90s, basically, of Richard Donner movies.
So yeah, like he just kind of passed the project on apparently, and Donner was more than happy to take it.
Yeah, and I think we ended up with a decent film at the end of the day. We ended up with a film I think that is watchable. It's not egregiously bad when it's bad, and whenever it's good, it's actually quite good.
Yeah.
But it is sort of fits and starts, like you say. Like the whole middle third of the movie is just a drag. Like
as you said, like. Sorry to reiterate it again, but it's just that scene with Antonio Banderas waiting in the heat is to me just like a classic moment of cinema or something like that. It's very well done. It's very like
it's like I really appreciate this actor.
Yeah.
No, like in the same way that in the next one we're going to talk about, there's a couple of scenes like that.
Yeah.
That I think I'm going to have a similar opinion of.
Yeah.
And maybe a similar opinion of the surrounding scenes. Who knows? But yes, I think as a sort of something to put on Antonio Banderas' CV, I think this is a good film for him.
He's really good at acting warm.
Yeah, he's really good at being like roasting and pissed off.
Yeah.
Like he does frustrated extremely well.
Yeah,
he's a man who whenever he's pissed whenever he's playing someone who is angry and pissed off, he does it so well.
Especially when he's trying to hide it, because he's like trying to act cool in front of Sylvester Stallone, being like, yeah, just come out whenever you want, kind of thing, But he's raging. He's properly.
He's like, yeah, I'm ready. You can tell he's raging. You can tell he's angry. Like, it comes up a lot in like something like Desperado.
Yes.
Where he does that a lot, where he is kind of hacked off for the entire film, but he's still trying to be the cool guy.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's sort of his like niche where he really shines.
Yeah.
Is a role like that, where he's like an actiony cool guy who's kind of frustrated that not everything's going his way all the time.
Puss in Boots.
But yeah. So ultimately, I think this is a good film. I'm weirdly come around on it, and I now think of it quite warmly. I think.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, here we are back again. We don't have much sort of room left. The wall's been sort of half taken down. All my windows are all over the floor. This is so expensive, and thank God for renter's insurance, eh, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, you all right over there? You've got a couple of holes in you, but you seem all right.
You know, it's just on limbs and stuff. You know, the
shoulder
non-important
shot
things.
Yeah, you just got shoulder shot.
Little hot balls of metal inside you aren't really that big of a problem.
Yeah, well, so it would seem anyway from Hollyweird.
Same as like when they like break their ribs as well and they run about.
Yep, that's fine. That's not completely and absolutely totally debilitating. No. Don't worry, I just broke my back.
Yeah.
I didn't get shot literally in the face or the stomach. Seems to be a thing that just kills people in films.
Yeah.
Even though I mean, Reservoir Dogs kind of does a good thing with that, where they're like, no, you're going to take ages to die, mate, and it's going to hurt. Oh, anyway. But anyway, enough about that. John, what did you think of Leon the Professional, directed by Luc Besson?
Well, kind of before I get into kind of the actual film, I suppose, or I think the elephant in the room needs addressed whenever you talk about this movie, because there is a lot of really fucked up things kind of connected to this. Mainly, Luc Besson, you know, there's almost like an element of art imitating life in this movie, because he got engaged to a 15-year-old and had a child with her. Like, she was 16 when she had the child. There's a lot of kind of, I was going to say pedophilic undertones. They're kind of overtones in this.
Yeah, especially, I think we should mention that this is the extended version that we watched.
Yeah.
Which has a lot more of that than the original cut that I would have seen back whenever this movie originally came out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's almost a different perspective on it now that I have.
I also found out there was a scene that Natalie Portman's mother and father wouldn't allow them to shoot. Thank God, because it's where Leon walks in the bathroom and she's naked and he's kind of awkwardly trying to give her a towel while she's like kind of saying that she doesn't care and to look at her and stuff like this. This movie gets real uncomfortable a lot, and it's made even more uncomfortable when you realize that Luc Besson, who made it, it's almost like a fantasy kind of thing, to know that the child is the one trying to initiate this relationship, and it's a bit fucked up. And even Natalie Portman, she addressed this in the 2018 Women's March, where she's like, she was getting rape fantasy fan letters sent her, and there was radio stations doing like countdowns to her 18th birthday. So there's a lot of shit packaged with this movie, you know, even before you talk about it as like a piece of art or anything like that, or but yeah, so I think it's important to address this, because if anyone has reservations about this movie, then just do not watch it. If this stuff, it's not an easy watch, and as I said, as I kind of briefly mentioned there, its overtones at some point. It kind of starts off, and in the hands of a better director, maybe there could have been an important message or something like that. It could have been undertones or something like that. But again, it's kind of hard to watch.
Yeah, I felt very uncomfortable through a lot of the runtime of this film, watching it this time through. Now, I will say that as far as like performance of a child actress goes, Natalie Portman's pretty good in this.
She's brilliant. Like when she's at Leon's door, crying, like trying to convince him to open it, like she's unbelievable. Like she starts tearing up and like getting more and more kind of panicky, and as the bodyguard or whatever he is in the background's getting a bit more suspicious about her. But yeah, she's very good in this. As is Jean Reno, but he's kind of constantly good. There is a thing, like even divorced from the whole controversial stuff. I do think it's a wee bit like confused in a way. The movie, it's like two different movies, and I don't even mean underage sexualization thing. It kind of flip flops from kind of this serious, almost I suppose almost Tarantino-esque type thing to a bit goofy, and a bit like Leon's character never really seems real, and I don't think that was Jean Reno's fault. I think it's more the direction to make him seem more innocent, or maybe it was a choice by him for those awkward moments to kind of make more sense, because an adult wouldn't respond that way. You know, you just go get your fucking clothes on and or do what the fuck you're told. Especially this guy's a professional hitman, you know, and he's sitting there acting like he's got like a learning disability or something. You know, he's acting very non-adult at times, and then in the next scene he'll be very straight-laced, professional. This is how to, you know, snipe someone from a rooftop, and you're like, what? Yeah,
he goes from seeming naive to being very knowledgeable on just at the flip of a switch almost. Which I don't know if that's like something they wanted for the character or whatever, but it feels a bit incongruous. And yeah, again, what you're saying about like Luc Besson and maybe his weird intentions. Now, I have liked a lot of Luc Besson films. He's a very competent, I mean, he's a good director. You know, and it's like this kind of raises the question of like, you know, about like, can you separate the art from the artist kind of thing, and it can get hard to do. I mean, like I was saying, actually, we were talking about this earlier about Roman Polanski and Rosemary's Baby, and how I like Rosemary's Baby is a great film, and I love it, but I kind of hate Roman Polanski, you know, and it's you know, I'm not gonna lie and say, oh, I don't like that film anymore. You know, that's dishonest.
It's dishonest, and it doesn't get you anywhere. Like horrible people can make great art. For me, Leon, it gets too close to the art imitating life thing as well.
I think in this film in particular, it's way harder to separate the two, especially because of the themes.
The young girl that he married is actually in this movie. She's the young prostitute at the very start. It's that first assassination that he's doing. Oh, okay. So that's, you know, and it's played very much the way you think of these things, of like this horrible, you know, this horrible male taking advantage of this young girl, and you're sitting there going, but you're fucking married to her, you fucking weirdo. And they, you know, they met when she was 11 and stuff. You know, it is a bit too, it's a bit too raw and a bit too close to the material, that it does feel kind of like I can't divorce it in my head, unfortunately. And this movie does have a lot of good in it.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Oldman. Let's stop talking about this for a minute. Because
it makes your skin crawl.
Let's talk about how Gary Oldman is fucking unbelievable and is just such a great actor. Like, he steals the show for me in this movie. He's not, especially in this extended edition, like, the percentage of the movie that he's in is actually quite small. But he's like, for me, he's the most impactful thing in the film. He's the thing I remember. Like whenever I think about this film, I think about Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
I think about I think every scene he's in, he is electric. He is fascinating. He's terrifying. He's a psychopath. His accent slips every now and then, but it doesn't really matter. You only really notice if you're looking for it, which, like a dickhead like me is like, well, I know he's English, so I'm going to listen and blah, 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 blah. The first time through, I didn't notice it all. First time through, before I knew who Gary Oldman was, way back in the day, I didn't know he was an English actor being an American, and it didn't strike me at all when I saw it the first time. This time I was like, oh, there's a wee bit there and there's a wee bit there. But he's fucking terrifying. And he's just so
that scene with Matilda's father, where he gets like really up close to him and like face to face. He actually hugs him at one point. The actor playing Matilda's dad didn't know he was going to do this, so that is genuine kind of uncomfortable fear. And he's like,
what's you doing? Yeah. Oh, that's really good.
Because he almost gets to a point where like he's chewing scenery, but he never. At one point he does, but when they're asking like how many policemen do you want or SWAT team, and he goes, like, screams all of them, everyone, yeah. But apparently that was also that was him messing around. That was him trying to get a laugh out of Luke Besson. Every other time he said it normally, and this time he kind of said to the guy doing the sound, like, careful, I'm going to scream here just for the crack. And that's the one they kept. It was like, yeah, that's great.
Fucking good. Like, yeah, for me, this film is the Gary Oldman show, even though he's barely in it. Like, as far as like screen time goes, whenever he's in it, he is just the focus.
Yeah.
He is everything that's going on. It's just him. Like, it's just the introduction when he's just standing there and he's like you don't see his face for most of the first scene that he's in. He's facing away with his headphones on, listening to the music, and they set him up really well where it's like, look, tell me who cut the dope, or I'm going to have to bring in the boss. And he hates it when people interrupt his music. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, okay. And then it's just when he goes over and he touches him and you can tell, you're just like, it creates this huge amount of tension.
Yeah.
And then he just sort of does that slow thing where he just turns his head around to the side and you just sort of see him in profile. And then you just like, from there, it's just like, oh, this guy's a monster. This guy is this terrible monster. Like, he has all these weird tics and like he takes those weird little yellow and green pills.
Yeah.
And the way he takes them is so odd. Like, he bites them and oh, he's so
like,
good.
It's interesting as well because he's not a physically imposing guy, so
No.
You know, as soon as you see this guy who could physically overpower him quite easily, being absolutely pants-wettingly scared of him, right,
everyone's frightened of him.
Yeah, like
the people who work with him, his stoolie guys who are, as you say, they're all way bigger than him.
Yeah.
They're all really frightened of him.
Which I always like when they do that with a character. You're like, why are they all scared of this tiny little man?
Yeah. And then you see why, and you're like,
oh, he's a lunatic.
Okay. Yeah, he will kill people because he's slightly pissed off.
It does beg the question of like, how does this character exist outside of this? Because he's like, it works for the DEA or he's in some way involved. What's this guy's day to day like? He does not go around acting like this 24/7.
Yeah, maybe he does.
Like, he has people he answers to, right? How does this happen?
You'd expect so, but again, I think you're pushing a bit too far into.
This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we're pushing too far into that territory, and I don't think it's really needed for this.
No.
He's a fantastic villain.
Yeah,
he's such an imposing, terrifying villain. You
know how he goes on about Beethoven and stuff to the like before he kills Matilda's dad. He actually played Beethoven in a movie called Immortal Beloved in the same year, or it was either the same year or it was the year before, but so I'm wondering, is that why he brought, because apparently in that scene every time was different what he was saying, and he just went with this kind of Beethoven thing and
else.
yeah. which is
That's really cool.
yeah. So it seemed he got a good bit of freedom to kind of be Gary Oldman and just like
Aye.
just take this character wherever you feel.
That's
Yeah, he's awesome.
not surprising to me actually at all. I don't think.
No,
'cause
if I
he's-
was making
he's-
a movie and I had Gary Oldman, I'd just go, yeah, do whatever you want there. Well,
Yeah, here's the
follow the
script.
script. I mean,
Yeah, here's the script, but feel free to ignore it when you feel like you should. Okay, away you go. Yeah, so that's really good. But again, like, it is so hard to ignore all the stuff we were talking about before, especially in this extended cut, because there is so much more of it.
Yeah.
And it is so in your face. Like, in the original cut, it's not really touched on, except for, like, one or two small points.
yeah,
Like, where she tells the guy that runs the hotel that they're in, oh, he's not my father, he's my boyfriend. That's one of the few times that it comes up in the original, like, cinema cut.
yeah,
The original, like, one that I remember. So it wasn't front and center then, but it is so front and center
yeah.
in this version that it is impossible to overlook it. Yes, everyone's performances are very good. Like, I mean, and it's technically great. but-
It's a shame it does kind of detract from what could be a good movie, and it does just seem out of place and a bit broken because it ruined. Like, I think John Reno's character or his portrayal of Leon is great for the most part, but those scenes where he's awkwardly acting like a kind of man child make little to no sense, and they do a disservice to the character and the actor and just take you out of the story entirely. And it could have been dealt with so much easier. Like, it's fine to have maybe have Matilda like having these feelings towards Leon, but it's the way he deals with it is the stupid part. Like, in a way, Leon is her savior, so yes, she's going to idolize him, or she's that young, she's not going to know what her feelings are really, but like, it's the way it's dealt with. It becomes almost like a fetish film for perverts.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah, and it just feels impossible to ignore.
And I mean, we keep like kind of boomeranging back to that because you can only ignore it so long. And I mean, watching this movie there recently, it's not long before it becomes really prevalent in it, and
yeah, it makes watching the film an unpleasant experience.
yeah,
you're not being you're not being entertained. You're just kind of like, ugh, and you're kind of like, I kind of want to just fast forward this to the end now,
yeah,
or stop watching it.
or start
Altogether?
editing it.
Yeah, or maybe just like don't watch this cut of it and watch the original cut. But then that's just ignoring.
Yeah,
That's just choosing to ignore.
that is burying
something.
your head in the sand.
Exactly, and that doesn't feel right either. So I'm gonna say that I really originally I like Gary Oldman. I like people. I like the technical things about this film, and the acting is very good. But I can't really say that I like this film.
No,
No.
no, it's impossible.
All right, well, we're very, 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 very quickly losing a lot of blood and cover. We may very soon not have defilé, which is a fun word I like to use, which I believe means you're too low for this behind something for the snipers to see you, I guess.
Okay.
It's when you have defilé, which I believe we have defilé now, John. So, seeing as we are in defilé, I think we have a few wee moments for me to ask you, John, which of these films what did you think was the best movie?
Well, I think my one's obvious yet again.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're going with Assassins.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm very aware it's not a good movie, but it is one of those ones that I'll kind of watch. I enjoy Antonio Banderas, and don't know. You can watch it with a few beers, make fun of it. There's plenty there to pick on, and it has those stupid moments that you can go, that makes no sense. Or why doesn't he just do it? Like,
Yeah, I know all about assassination. Why didn't he just do this?
Everyone's stupid. I'm a genius, which is always fun to do.
Yeah. To be like, I'm smarter than this character in this movie. Don't I feel good about myself?
So I assume you're going to have a bit of a dilemma, though. You're not going to be as clear cut as me.
I think I do really like Assassins. It is daft for all the reasons you've said. It's daft. And Antonio Banderas is brilliant in it.
Yeah.
In the same way, it's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like when we talked about Masters of the Universe, and we were talking about how it's kind of bad, but Frank Langella's performance of Skeletor is great. That's a good one. I mean, the same could be said for like this. A lot of messy stuff around Leon that, but you could point at the performances and say they're all brilliant.
Yeah.
And Gary Oldman is, in fact, fantastic.
Yeah.
Especially. But, again, the experience of watching the film just made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The extended cut especially, it's just, ugh. You feel kind of dirty after you're watching it. You kind of wish you didn't watch it. So, there's no way I could pick that. And I love Antonio Banderas. Yes, in Assassins, he's brilliant. And it was fun to watch, and I find myself engaged with it because I was annoyed at the fact that Julianne Moore was being presented in some positive way, when in fact I think she was absolutely awful. Now, I don't think her performance was necessarily awful. I think the character that she played was a terrible person.
Julianne Moore is pretty consistent.
Reliable.
Consistently good actress, and I mean, has some amazing performance, like Magnolia is springing to mind when I think of her like standout performances.
Yeah, and Boogie Nights as well. Boogie Nights is great too.
Yes, Boogie Nights is fantastic. But her character in this is, as you say, it's really odd that it's presented as a hero or a victim, let's say, and yet, she is anything but. She is. Ugh.
Yeah. And also, I'm not going to say what it is, but the twist at the end is lazy and crap.
Yeah.
It is lazy and crap and unearned. Absolutely.
I will say I think they really messed up. And I'm going to give a spoiler warning for the very end. I'm not going to spoil the twist, but Antonio Banderas' character does die in the end, and they really missed an opportunity to make sequels. Like, I would watch a sequel of this, of like Antonio Banderas' character now having survived, and maybe Stallone's character coming back to like go, nah, you know what? I tried normal life and I want to be an assassin again.
Yeah,
I would totally watch that and be like, yeah, come on, Assassins 2.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Electric Boogaloo.
Indeed, Assassins 2, Electric Boogaloo. Ooh. But I think I still really like Grosse Pointe Blank. I do. I still really like it. I like the soundtrack. I like John Cusack in it. Yeah. I've gotten I do kind of like him as an actor often. Sometimes he plays characters that are obnoxious. And he gets cast in those roles, and he might be obnoxious. I don't know. Looking at his Twitter, he's just, I don't know, somewhat unhinged. I don't necessarily disagree often with the things he's saying, but I find the way he says them maybe is like he feels like he's a little out of touch with reality sometimes.
It's not what you said, it's the way you said it.
Indeed. Yes, maybe. I don't know. But divorced from all that, I still think I really like this film. I'm not necessarily a fan of Minnie Driver in general. I don't find her particularly offensive in this movie.
No.
She does play, as you were saying, she plays the character maybe as if she's still a teenager, maybe in some ways.
It's also written that way. She seems to still be living in her. These characters are what, 26, let's say. She's still.
I think so.
She's still living in. I don't know when prom is.
28, maybe.
28.
I think they're 18.
So
I think they were 18.
They're pushing 30, and she's still living in her like childhood bedroom with the posters still up. And
well, they explain that her apartment burned down.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which is their way of getting him back into her old room as a kid, so they can have their moment of like, oh, it hasn't changed much, and let's behave like we did when we were like 17, that kind of thing. Which
was easy for her. She was already doing that. Yeah,
exactly. Yes. But I really like it. I like John Cusack in it. I really like Dan Aykroyd in this film. I think he's great. Every scene they're in together, I loved. All the shootouts and stuff. The action scenes are actually quite good. I really like them. Like, he has a particular fight with the ex of the Basque separatist guy
Yeah.
in the school that I really like.
Who was actually John Cusack's kickboxing instructor.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh
I
my!
think it's kickboxing. He was
Cool.
He was an instructor of some fighting style.
Yeah, well, they fight each other, and I really like that fight. I like all the weird little interactions he has with people that he hasn't seen in 10 years, and it's all very like stilted and awkward because he's awkward.
Yeah.
You know, he's obviously not. They do really well with like he's not a people person at all, and they straight up just say that.
Yeah.
There's a point where it's like Dan Aykroyd's trying to start an assassins union, and he's like, "No, I don't want to do that." You know, lone wolf, lone gunman. You know,
Yeah.
look. I mean, I like the lifestyle. Look at the way I dress.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't like people really. He doesn't. But then the sort of movie is him sort of getting to maybe start to like people again.
Yeah.
He has this one moment which I think is actually kind of good where he's talking to someone who's like has like their sort of relatively newborn baby with them, and he has this thing that he doesn't know what to do with the baby, and it's super awkward, and it is kind of saccharine.
I was about to say I had the complete opposite reaction.
Yeah,
where I was like, what is it? I was going, shoot the baby.
It's terrible.
Yep.
But I think that's a good character moment for him in a way,
you say
because he's
so.
like, it is. Well, yes, I do say so. I quite liked it. Where he's like looking at the baby and the baby's looking at him, and then it goes on way too long. It goes on
Yeah.
It goes on for about 6 or 7 seconds too long.
To me, a lot of the scenes kind of have that problem. Like, again, like I don't mind kind of this, wandering, waffly kind of. It's him getting to know the town he came from again, but I just felt like even there's the earlier interactions with him and Minnie Driver go on to that point where you're like, right, where are we going here? Let's do. Can someone do something? Direction, please. Again, it's just again, it's obviously intentional. Because it was left in, or they had to rush to get it out and forgot to edit it properly.
This is the cut we have. So anyway, I'm choosing this film. So boo sucks to you.
That's fine.
I quite liked it. I still like it.
You can be wrong. That's fine.
Yes, I've made a sort of a life out of that.
Yeah.
So far. So yeah, I'm choosing Grosse Pointe Blank. You can have Assassins. You can keep it.
Thanks. I'll take him, Antonio Banderas anytime over that.
Yeah, actually, he is very good. Actually, he was. Props to Antonio for making that film so watchable.
Yeah, because I will say this. Like, I think without him, that movie wouldn't even register on my radar anymore. I do think he makes that movie.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's so good.
Because I do think for the majority of it, it is actually boring and kind of bad pacing and a bit stilted.
Yeah.
But the scenes with him are kind of enjoyable.
Yeah, he's great. So John, that being the case, with me being right and you being wrong, which of these films do you think is the best, shows us the most, gives us the most information, or lets us know the most about assassins themselves?
Because
Leon goes into some detail about the method and stuff like that. They spend a lot of time on that.
Yeah, they do. But they also they kind of in Grosse Pointe Blank and Assassins, they kind of show them getting their contracts. Very modern through email and. They've got like a handler type person.
Really daft live chat. The unrealistic live chat that you always get in movies in the 90s because they know nobody knows how that stuff really works, so they can get away with whatever they want.
I really enjoyed the Sylvester Stallone like saying the opposite of what he was typing to contrast the net almost, where she would talk out loud while she typed.
She would say what she was typing in the net.
He was always
it's a movie. Yeah,
and a part of me thought this was like meant to be like almost this kind of real like artistic way for the director to show like the differences in the two assassins, where like Sylvester Stallone's one was kind of the more seasoned, even though they look roughly the same age. He was the more seasoned kind of professional who like kept his thoughts to himself and then would type a proper email, and then Antonio Banderas would be like, fuck you, and then he'd type it all like, I hope you die.
I really enjoyed that, actually, when he basically did like the copy paste of fuck you,
and then he punches the laptop. Yeah, I mean,
again, we're just talking about how great Antonio Banderas is in this movie again, and he is great.
So yeah, that's how they get the contracts. Does anyone get away from them? Is the question we need to ask, because
I mean, well,
no one gets away from Leon, so that's automatically,
yeah.
Even when you think,
when you think it's done,
he always gets his man, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So assassins, basically, in both these movies, we don't have a daughter. Neither of us have any children, so we can't hope that our assassin falls in love with our children.
Good lord!
So that's Grosse Point Blank out of the way. And assassins, basically, we have to fall in love with one of the assassins, I suppose.
Okay,
for them to fall for us.
They need to fall for us. So if we're going with assassins, okay. I'll just DM them some. What'll I do? Shall I write some poetry and put it up on a stick?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Oh, like
with a few flowers.
You may have shot me in the shoulder, but the only real bullet hit me right in the heart, or something. Is that good?
Yeah. As long as you don't think about it too much, that's perfect.
Okay, I'm just gonna scribble that down here. I'm just gonna crank it up. Oh no. Was that a cessation of hostilities? Will we get up? Okay. Do I have to go on a date with this guy now?
Yep.
Okay. I think I could do that. I'll take one for the team, as it were. Who knows? Maybe he'll be erudite and charming.
Yeah.
Like maybe he'll be. You know what? Maybe he'll be Antonio Banderas. That'd be pretty sweet, right?
That'd be pretty awesome.
That's bragging rights right there. Goddamn, yeah, all right. Well, I'm up for this now. Okay, cool. Well, that's all we have time for today then, because I gotta go get ready. Maybe patch up this hole in my shoulder beforehand. We are on Twitter. We are at 7-Day Apocalypse. That is at numeral 7-Day Apocalypse. If you want to email us, you can get to us on filmcast at thisweeksapocalypse.com. That's filmcast at thisweeksapocalypse.com. Our logo design and all that done by Aodat, one wee day at a time, on Instagram. And we're now posting full episodes to YouTube and whatnot, so you can go and watch it there. You can do whatever. You can subscribe to our podcast. That'd be super cool as well. And so, John, right? Well, I need you to. She's all at me, I think now. So let's go off to the powder room.
It's going to take a while.
Oh man, I'm dead excited. Oh yeah, caviar and lobster. You. All right. Bye.